with all of that, we will begin our opening statements with Steve Landers. You get to go first.
Thanks, Rob. I don't know. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Let's try it one more time.
Hello. Hello.
We tested all of these. I promise they're working. We'll get this worked out.
He's coming. Thank you.
You only got 30 seconds left, Steve. Keep going.
Thank you. There we go.
All right. Let's
10 seconds left. Anyway, thank y'all for coming today. I appreciate seeing all you realtors. You're dear to my heart because I've always been in retail throughout my career. I know what it takes to do retail. I know how many hours you work to do retail. And I know what our city, right now our city, it's hard on you guys because people that want to bring a business, it's just going out.
It does seem to be cutting in and out there. So.
Thank you. Okay, we'll try it again. We might have one mic working up here. But like I said, I've been in retail for years, my whole business career. I've employed thousands of people all over the world. I've ran businesses from Brazil to China to all over the U.S. I've been in a lot of tough spots. Okay, I've made a lot of tough decisions, but been able to be successful in all those businesses. I created the #1 minority-owned, partnered with Bob Johnson, auto group in the nation. Still is the #1 minority-owned auto group. So that took years of not because I was maybe any smarter than anyone else. I had just done this my whole life, but I know what it takes to run a good business. I know what it takes, and it's people. It's all about people. And my goal will be get the right people in the right spots and hold those people accountable.
All right. We might be passing this around, so go ahead, Greg.
Thanks so much. My name is Greg Henderson. If you all don't know me, welcome. Thanks for having me, fellow realtors. So glad to be here. I am a real estate agent, commercial real estate agent, but really my passion got started years ago, about 20 years ago, whenever I started working with small businesses. And really to me, small businesses are especially interesting because they don't have the opportunities that big businesses do, just like, some areas in Little Rock don't have the opportunities that other areas in Little Rock do. And so to me, that small passion of working with people who don't have as much of a chance is what carried me through 20 years of marketing and business consulting, even working with Roby over here several times on stuff. And then it also led me to get into real estate because I feel like real estate is the point where, a lot of dreams start becoming reality, whether it's most of you all do residential, it's somebody getting their first home. And you know what it is like whenever they get their first home, they're proud to dangle those keys out. It's the same thing for small businesses. We have people who have great ideas, great passion, and I like being able to see that through and do a full life cycle of a business. And so that's where over 20 years I've spent my career trying to grow small businesses. I'm also very active in the Downtown Neighborhood Association. I love getting in there, working with neighbors, working with other neighborhood associations to try to build stronger neighborhoods, which I really think are the root and the core of our city. And so that's something that's very important to me. I feel like I'm a little bit at home here because I know so many of you and I'm in the same boat as a whole lot of you. My family has been in real estate for as long as I can remember. Most of you know my Aunt Karen Krausen, who's been in and out of this association. But know that, with me, what I want to do is I want to build a city that's made for people here and is developed and designed so that we are encouraging life as a resident. We're making people love to live in Little Rock. And that's why I'm here and that's what I want to do. Thank you so much.
All right. Mayor Scott.
Well, let me just do this one. Was indeed a pleasure to be with you all today. I stand in awe right now, being a son, born, raised, and still reside in Southwest Little Rock. To be right here at the Pleasant Valley Country Club speaking to the Little Rock Realtors Association. Why? Is because we set out on a mission in 2018 to unite, grow, and transform the city of Little Rock. whether it was in Petaway to Pleasant Valley, College Station to Chenal, to ensure that every area was more inclusive, more connected, and bridges were built. The past 3.5 years, we've done just that. Despite a global pandemic that I promise you on January 1st, 2019 would have never thought would ever happen. Despite a historic flood, historic snowstorm, a summer of George Floyd that eerie reminds us of the summer of the 1960s. But through it all, this city has not only become more united, it's grown more. Whether it's been the 8,000 plus jobs that we brought to this city over the past 3.5 years, whether it's ensuring that we've grown our population now to 203,000. Yes, your city is now part of the top 125 cities in the United States. And our city is one of 2 mid-sized cities in the South that actually grew, Little Rock and Huntsville. And it takes this united, this growth, and this transformative mentality each and every day to ensure that we continue to grow forward. It's indeed an honor and a pleasure to be with each of you. And I know we have more questions to go, but my mom told me long ago to tell everybody thank you. So I'm saying thank you to each of you, whether you voted for me in the past or voted for me or not. We all are Little Rock, and that's what it's all about. And I do ask you for your vote.
All right, this first question, we'll go Greg first, Frank second, and Steve third. So Greg, first question up here. Little Rock voters, as Lucas just mentioned, have approved a renewal of a capital improvement bonds that are expected to generate about $154 million for the city. It's gonna go to a lot of different places, a lot of different areas. Supposed to be as equally divided among the wards as possible. As mayor, how would you oversee this spending of this revenue to ensure that infrastructure needs are met and that it is equitably dispersed across the city?
First of all, with this question, thank you all so much, everybody in this room, because you fought to get these bonds renewed, you fought to get this passed, and it's very important. It doesn't matter which of the 3 of us you're looking at voting for. The fact is that Little Rock needs this money to continue forward and to continue growing. With the question of how do we do this equally, I think it's very important that as we have this money, or we're going to talk about some other money later on, it's important that as we're looking at how to spend revenue, that we're looking at growing from the bottom up. We don't necessarily want to, go off the top. We do, want to improve the nice areas, absolutely. But we want to make sure we're growing from the bottom up and we're looking at the areas of most need first. But it also has to be distributed around the various wards. So I think it's important as we're looking at spending this money, especially on some of the infrastructure improvements, that we're working with each one of the city directors throughout the 7 wards to make sure that we're identifying the areas of most need first and addressing those so that way we can grow from the bottom up and we're reducing the gap between the great areas of, that have all these nice improvements, everything else, in areas that have been neglected over the past, 20 years, really. When we're looking at, how spending has been done, we want to make sure that we're spending in the areas that need it first.
Thank you so much. Again, I too want to share the appreciation for the resounding vote of yes this past couple of weeks as it relates to the Renew Little Rock campaign, which my team and I led. We're grateful for each of you for voting for it. What you voted for was close to $160 million. That really takes care of a few different things. I want to lay it out for you. Lays out a significant portion of streets and drainage projects. Also, a increase in our fire apparatus as it relates to the Little Rock Fire Department, or Little Rock District Court. It expands the Little Rock Port Authority, which is great. The reason why is because one of the great things about the city of Little Rock are 4 things I love to share. River, rail, road, and air are all centrally located right here in the city of Little Rock, the state of Arkansas, as well as the South. And that's one of the key indicators of why we've seen so much job growth, which is a historic feat. But in addition to all of that, it focuses on parks and recreation, which helps us with quality and life in place. As a millennial mayor, I can tell you one thing. We have a great nexus with our seasoned brothers and sisters. Why? Because millennials, we're choosing where we want to live first based on quality and life in place. Then we figure out our career. Our seasoned brothers and sisters are now understanding what they can do with their discretionary wealth by what? Quality and life in place. And so that's why it's so impactful that we passed this tax. It is great that we've done it. As it relates to equality, one of the things that many may not know, the decision has already been made as it relates to infrastructure within this. The city board voted in unanimous, and we're very grateful for that all 7 wards will receive an equal amount for streets and drainage. One of the things that we've done, because we understand that equality is not equity. One of the main things that I've done since I've been mayor is focus on equity within the city of Little Rock, paying attention to historic areas of our city, which many times are south of 630, east of I-30, that have not received its due attention. We've done that through targeted community development, where we've infused millions of dollars in those particular areas because a rising tide lifts all. But also, many people, when you hear the word equity, equity is not black, brown, or white. Equity is understanding there are needs and resources that have to be filled. And so where there's equity from that standpoint is also equity what we have to do for West Little Rock as it relates to continue to fill out Canis Road completely. And so when you're talking about equity, we have to reason those resources. Thank you. You still my friend.
Thank you. Again, I'm happy that we passed our millage. I mean, it's vital for our city's growth. So we're going to have that to lean on, but we have a $38 million that we get a year now from the government, ARPA money, and that's not going to be here long. We got to use it wisely, the money, and that's something that I'm going to do. I'm going to spend the tax dollars and the monies that we get wisely. I've had to do that because I've wrote payroll checks my whole life. I've been in business my whole life, and I want to say one thing: 8,000 jobs that were created this year were 200 net jobs. COVID let a lot of people go in our city, a lot of people. When they got hired back, those were counted as jobs. Now, we have had some industry come in, and we're going to continue that because our port is vital to this city. We'll be able to secure 4,000 more acres at our port. The guys out there do a great job at our port. We do have rail. We have rail, air, water, the whole trucking, everything. But that port is vital for this city's growth because big industry will come here. I've dealt with big industry. I know what it is to deal with those guys. I will get big industry to come here. I am a job creator. I've created jobs all over and help people to get to where they want to go in their businesses. I'm in your corner as realtors. I'm going to cut red tape that y'all fight every day, which I fought every day as a realtor, as not a realtor, but as a selling real estate and land and developing and stuff over the years. But you have a lot of red tape. We're going to try to cut through that red tape, and we're going to try to make it easier for you to do business. We're going to look for a way to say yes instead of a way to say no. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right. I'm good. You can hold that.
Okay.
I appreciate the candidates, by the way, you have 2 minutes to speak, but you don't have to take the full 2 minutes, okay? We'll get to some more things.
You talking to a preacher, man.
All right. No chance then, no chance. All right, these past few days, there have been no shortage of news stories about guns and shootings and crime and public safety. I'm going to leave it to you all in your answers to decide which stories you may want to highlight. I just ask that you keep it centered on policies in doing so. Crime and public safety are really a huge issue for realtors. Everyone in this room, it affects them. It affects their ability to conduct their business. It is cited as one of the #1 reasons why people leave our city by realtors. Tell me what you would propose to do to address crime and public safety. And Frank, you are first up. 2 minutes.
Today we stand at 52 homicides in the city of Little Rock. Last year it was 64. 2019, it was 43. Every phone call on every homicide, whether I'm at a podium or in the pulpit, I get that call. I've cried many nights, had many sleepless nights because of the victims and their families. Safety is the #1 priority in the Scott administration. Has been, will always will be. Here's what we've done. #1, we've ensured that our city has a fully staffed, 92% staffed police force. #2, ensuring understanding that it is really hard to be a police officer in America right now. Every police department in the United States is struggling with recruitment. That's the reason why we've increased our sign-on bonuses from $5,000 to $10,000. That's the reason why we never jumped on the defund the police train. We ensured that we had a fully respectable, fully refundable, funded police department because we understand that safety creates more prosperity. And we're very grateful for the men and women of the Little Rock Police Department. In addition, we understand our officers aren't equipped to deal with mental health issues. That's the reason why we've added mental health and social workers to our Little Rock Police Department. That's also why we have a holistic approach, because we do right now proactive policing, targeted patrols, street crimes unit, which have seen a decrease in our overall violent crime. Yes, our homicide rate is up. And I can tell you, here's what's happened. Being a child of the 90s, I know what gangbanging in Little Rock was. I have family members who were implicated. I can tell you the crime we see today is not it. Today we're dealing with domestic violence, acquaintance violence, and mental health issues. Just this past weekend, we had an individual, a parolee, and yes, Little Rock receives most of the parolees in the state, went around shooting up in our city, in our county, and thank God for the men and women of Little Rock Police Department, the Arkansas State Police, and the Placer County Sheriff's Office that work collaboratively together to ensure that we captured that person. It's all about being focused each and day. And that's what we've been doing. We're proud of our violent crime going down. And yes, we understand the perception of crime, our city is not as safe as it could be. That's why we work every day to make sure our city is safer. And that's the reason why we've made that commitment, that we've received 8,000 new jobs. And I'm sorry, Steve, it's not a net 200. I can tell you the folks at Amazon 1 and Amazon 2, that equates to 4,000. Those are all new jobs. And I tell you again about the new jobs. Family members have come to me saying, thank you for the new jobs at Amazon. I said, did you get a new job there? They said, no, I'm at Maybelline. But Amazon is here now, increasing our salaries because I work at Maybelline. That's what it's all about. The best crime prevention is a job.
All right. Just a point of privilege here. Steve is next on this. I actually let you go 3 minutes on that one, so I'm going to give the other candidates an extra minute as well. You got 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Thank you. Okay. First thing I want to tell you is nothing happens if our city is not safe. Nothing happens in this city if our city is not safe. People will not move to Little Rock. People move from Little Rock to Benton, to Bryant, to Conway, to Cabot. We must make this a safe city, okay? We're ranked number 5 of all the cities for violent crimes, okay? Last night, ABC News reported on Little Rock. You know, we don't need that kind, that's not what we need. That goes all over the nation and people see that. We must be safe. We must have police. Yes, we've got a police force and they're good guys down there. I'm telling you, they're great guys. But when the current administration decided to come in, they wanted to add 100 patrolmen. Right now, we're down 80 patrolmen from that 100, so that's 180. And by the end of the year, we'll be down by 95 or another, or 100, which will be down 200 from where that administration wanted to be. So are we safe enough in our city? I'm out every day. I see women getting shot. I see children getting shot. And yes, it's people that are acquaintances, or some of it's not. I see people standing at service stations that get shot in the head just by drive-by shootings. And a lot of it is social. We got one social worker for the police department in a city of 200,000 people. We got one social worker. So are we doing the right stuff? Every day I will talk and work with the police and the firemen, securing everyone else here. I will not have personal security for me. I will not have personal security for me. Even though sometimes I need it, I will not have it. I will secure you and your families. I will make your kids safe in school. I will make it where you don't worry about so much about your kids going to school, because I've already worked on plans to do that and have been talking diligently with other guys to how to work that out. So I don't know if I got my 3 minutes, Roby, but I'm going to turn it back in. Thank you.
Greg, 3 minutes for you.
Thank you. I share your concern. I mean, I'm a commercial real estate agent. Obviously, I work with businesses all the time, and it doesn't matter if the numbers support it, they do. But the perception is that we have a crime issue. And so I think first and foremost, whenever you have a problem, the first thing we've got to do is admit we have a problem. It's hard to address the problem unless we can finally say, hey, we've got a problem. That's the one thing I have not heard yet, is that we have a problem. It's hard to get beyond that if we can't actually admit that there's a problem in the first place. Secondly, we do need more officers. Let's be real clear and real transparent. Officers in their traditional policing roles do not prevent crime, but they do help enforce crime. And whenever crime is high, we have to leverage those officers to try to see what we can do to de-escalate situations. It's not just officers, though. It's also 911 and non-emergency services. The numbers are way down in those too. Most of the time, if you try to call a non-emergency number, let's say you see a situation coming up, you try to call a non-emergency number, you get an answer machine or you don't get answered at all. Same thing with 911 a lot of times. What happens is that there's been an escalation in crime, and the numbers support that, is that we've actually seen nonviolent crimes drop considerably, but we've seen violent crimes rise over the past 2 years. And that is, in my mind, a direct impact of being low in some of these call centers. So we've got to address the staffing concerns in the call centers and also in the police force so they can properly respond to that. And that's going to help de-escalate some of these violent crimes. Lastly, one of the things we have to do, and I think all you realtors will understand this, is we have to work through the neighborhoods. As a former neighborhood association president, one of the things that worked really well in helping control crime in our neighborhood was having the police come out to our neighborhood association meetings, talking with me as president of the neighborhood association and other members throughout the neighborhood, and trying to identify problems that we see in the community and around with our neighbors that are happening that haven't escalated to the point of violence and haven't escalated to the point of a crime. Most of our violent crime, if you look back at it, it has been domestic disputes. That's happened a whole lot. Most of these crimes have been domestic. Most of these crimes have been one-off, with the exception of things like this past weekend. So we have to get in with our neighborhoods and understand what the problems are beforehand. And lastly, and I think that, while we have to take that approach, we also have to coincide that approach with, let's look at long-term solutions. Let's plant seeds for lowering crime 10, 15 years from now. That is one thing that I will commend Mayor Scott for, is focusing on those long-term solutions. But we also have to pair that with the immediate needs that we have right now. And I think that's very important. Thank you all.
All right. We're going to stay on the subject of crime. I'm going to throw y'all another question on that because I think the role of mayor has some additional responsibilities too. Steve, you'll get to go first. Greg, you'll get to go second. Frank, you'll go third. The activity that we're seeing, the criminal activity we're seeing, is nationwide. It's not just Little Rock. I mean, it is happening here, but it's happening in other cities across the country, which suggests to me that the solutions might also be statewide or federal in some respects. So I ask, if you were elected mayor, how would you work with the state? How would you work with the feds, our federal delegation, to try to address some things that might be beyond the scope of what you can just do locally? I've heard local answers here. It could be money, it could be more cooperation, it could be some sort of parole reform or other kind of options. But what would you do as mayor to work with state and federal officials on this issue of crime?
Number one, I want to say that I started reentry 35 years ago, taking guys out of prison, giving them jobs. Still do it. Our stores still do it today. That's been 35 years. We've had people that turned their lives around getting a second chance. So I believe in second chance. So, but I want to go back to this. I want to say that we're up 25% with homicide. We talk about how low our crime is. This is something that I want to tell you. If you want to see the crime numbers, they're the city numbers. Here they are. I'll give them to you, or you can go online and get them. But homicide is up 24% this year over last year, and last year was a terrible year. Robbery's up 37%. Burglary and B&E up 11%. Larceny, theft, and motor vehicle theft all up. In the last 5 years, homicides are up 56% in our city. Forcible rape up 5%. Robbery up 18%. Aggravated assault up 13%. Burglary B&E up 14%. These numbers these are the city's numbers. But I also want to say this city doesn't, just because it's like this in Minnesota or San Francisco or Milwaukee, our city doesn't have to be this way. I'm not worried about, frankly, San Francisco, Milwaukee, and those guys right now. I'm worried about Little Rock, Arkansas. And I know this for sure, that if we get a police force that can police, not hire police to pick on people, but just hire police to be in areas. We cannot do it with the police force that we got now. And our policemen are good policemen. We just cannot run this city on the amount of policemen, patrolmen that we have now. 911, I have people come up to me every day and say, I've called 911 5 times, they didn't answer the phone. So I called 911 the other day myself because I saw a homeless guy light his shirt on fire and throw it in the bushes on a 105-degree day. So I called 911. 11 times the phone rang before 911 answered. I mean, it's not hard to get people to answer the phone. We've got to do those little things, those basic things. And we can do those things. And I will do those things as your mayor. I will hold people in our city departments that run our city accountable for doing their jobs.
2 minutes.
Thank you.
It's actually 2.5 minutes, so I'm going to give the other folks another 30 seconds there. So.
I'll be nice. I'll take less.
The question was, what would you do as mayor to work with state and federal officials to try to address the problem of crime?
Yeah, absolutely. And first and foremost, one of the things we've got to do is, yes, the national numbers are up considerably. Little Rock's actually up significantly more as a rate than most other national cities in our, same kind of, demo and our same city size, things like that. So just because national numbers are up, we can't use that as an excuse. We got to focus on what's good for us, and we got to worry about getting our own numbers down and not make up excuses about national numbers. But to actually answer your question, whenever we're talking about, how do we approach, other law enforcement agencies, whenever we've got a crime issue, and again, back to that previous point, part of it is admitting we have a problem to begin with. We've got a major freeway that runs through. We have, an airport here, just like we've all talked about. We've got rail. We have all these connector points from the rest of the state, the rest of the nation. We're one of the major hubs through, I-40 runs right north of the river. That is a major, major road. So we have a lot going on. We have to be willing to work with other agencies. We have to be willing to call on the state police and say, hey, this is going on. We have to be willing to work with the FBI. One of the big problems, and Mayor Scott certainly heard from me before on this, is that, we've got, I live 2 blocks off Broadway. The street racing up and down Broadway, up and down 630 has been out of control. But you know what? That's not the LRPD's problem. They can't do much with that road. They can do some things, but that's ultimately a state highway. That's ultimately a freeway out there that you guys are all seeing people, blow past you at 90 miles an hour. We have to work with other law enforcement agencies if we want to take care of the problems that we have in our city, because part of it's not something that the LRPD can necessarily address on their own. We have to be willing to work as the state's capital, as the largest city in the state, and as a big connector for the region. We have to be willing to work with other agencies.
No, thank you so much. Greg, I do appreciate you applauding our long-term approach, a holistic approach to fighting crime. Again, and Steve, I know you shared numbers, and numbers can be shared many different ways unless you actually know the numbers. So 5 years, yes, we are up in percentage 5 years. Number one, I've only been here 3 years, 2 of which have included a pandemic. We should understand this. Crime is not a short-term fix. Anyone thinks that crime is a short-term fix, you're not being honest with yourself. I'm the only person that lives in the most crime-ridden area in the city. Born, raised, still reside in Southwest Little Rock. I'm the only person that probably has experienced homicides on their block. So if anyone knows how important crime is, not only as a mayor, but as a citizen, it's me. And that's the reason why we've leveraged our federal dollars, putting close to $3 million in holistic programs and mental health and social programs to address the very issue. Because the issue is our youth and young adults and ensuring that they have something to do. Our youth and young adults do not choose who their parents are. However, it's our job to provide resources to ensure they have the best opportunity possible. That's number one. Number two, Steve, we don't have 1 mental health worker, we have 4. And guess what? We were the first police department in the state of Arkansas to do that since this administration. First police department in the state of Arkansas to have body-worn cameras. First police department to do many different things because we are a forward-thinking city, and we understand we are the largest city in a small state. So you can't compare us to Frisco, Texas. We have to be compared to other larger cities because we are the microcosm of that particular situation here in the state of Arkansas. And that's the reason why this short-term approach of proactive policing, targeting patrols, ensuring that we have an adequately staffed police department, which we do. And yes, I made a promise of 100 police officers. We are the only police department in the state of Arkansas that has consistently recruited officers the last 3 years as a result of the pandemic and what's been going on within policing in America. We've had 50 officers, so it's not 180. And you also understand that we have a staffing study, and that staffing study just showed, we'll give more information later, that we have more officers today than we did in 2016, which is 594.
All right. This question will go to Greg first. A lot of policies related to property rights are of concern to the realtors group here, and they want to know that they've got a mayor that's on their side when it comes to a lot of things dealing with property. I guess I want to hear a little bit from all of you what your general thoughts on how your approach to changes to property rights are. Maybe more specifically, is there one thing in particular you changed related to zoning or regulations or permitting if you were mayor? What would it be?
Thank you. And this should be short and sweet because I'm a realtor as well. So I understand what all you have to talk about, what all your visions are, what all you want to do. And I can promise you that as I wear this pin right here, I'm going to open up and I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to hear you. You're going to have a seat at the table, regardless if you support me, back my campaign, vote for me, I don't care. I'm still going to understand your issues because your issues are important. Now, as it relates to property, one of the things that I've said over and over again is that we have to, first and foremost, above everything else that we do, is we have to filter every decision we make from, can we make Little Rock a great place to live? And that's very important, that live part, because that means property rights. That means how we're handling zoning. I'm also a commercial real estate agent, and a lot of zoning comes up with commercial. We have to make sure that we have a resident-focused approach on any of the policies we make. One of the things that I've seen in my neighborhood in downtown, a lot of times we have lots that have been combined, lots that have been, adjusted here. I mean, I live on a lot and a third, I believe. What happens is whenever we get into, can we provide, adequate housing? Can we provide lower cost housing? Can we, actually make this a place where developers want to move in and build? Sometimes those lot sizes are too big. It's easier to expand them than it is to shrink them. And so I would like to see how we can do that through policies. I would like to also look at infill. I'm a big believer in infill. Part of what happens to lower personal property taxes and personal property value is that we have vacant lots, or we have abandoned houses, we have unsafe houses. There's a whole list of them, and it's pretty large. What we need to do is create policies that incentivize infill, which means looking at these vacant houses, looking at these vacant lots, and building in, and that actually makes our neighborhood safer. It makes the property values go up. It makes all of your jobs easier because you're not trying to sell a house right next to something that looks like it could fall down at any second.
2 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, first and foremost, I'll be pretty quick as it relates to the particular answer. I'm in full support of all property rights. Have been very supportive of Little Rock Realtors Association since day one as a former banker, as a former highway commissioner. And you all have known that, you've seen that. I'm not new to you. Very grateful for it. On top of that, you all have always had a seat at the table, whether it's been through your lobbyists or you individually. And then also, many of you, a part of Little Rock Realtors Association, have been appointed during this administration to not only have a seat at the table, but to have a voice outside of this administration. And so very grateful for the many realtors who are a part of boards and commissions within the city of Little Rock. What I want to talk to you about is how have we made this city better for each of you. We talk a lot about the historic 8,000 jobs. What does that look like? Amazon 1 in Southwest Little Rock, Amazon 2 at the Little Rock Port Authority, HMS Manufacturing, Alleviant Health, Trex USA, Costco, Trader Joe's, and now Topgolf. All gives you more opportunities to continue to sell our city. That's number one. Number two, we understand that our city is not only growing in jobs growth, it's growing in our population of now 203,000, where this city has grown close to 6%, which happened in the last 3 years. Here's the other cool thing about that. While we understand that we're applauding growth, we have to understand there comes growing pains, and we cannot price out our residents. That's the reason why we created a 100-home initiative, affordable homes. 25 of those homes are already up. And we have to continue to have, as Greg shared, more infill. And then also something that has not been talked about yet. As we talk about quality of life in place, we have to address our city's homelessness issue. We have residents of brothers and sisters who are experiencing homelessness. Part of our American Rescue Plan Act dollars that we utilize and already have allocated in the first tranche will be announcing soon. a $2 million project where we would have Little Rock's first homeless village. Take a look and think it's a tiny home complex that will provide wraparound services for our brothers and sisters who experience homelessness. That's what we're focused on each and every day. How do we grow forward? How do we focus on quality of life in place? And when there's an issue, we provide a solution to it.
It's all yours. Yes, sir.
You know, property rights are important. I know that. I've negotiated, bought, sold properties all my life, all my working life. But I want to say this, that if we don't keep our streets clean, if we don't keep our streets safe, and I keep talking about safety, but again, nothing happens for you. Here's a holistic plan has got some merit to it. We need to do those holistic plans and try to change young lives from the time they're 7, 8 years old till they get 17 or 18. But I'm telling you right now, we do not have 10 years. Our city's in crisis as we speak. Our city is in crisis as we speak today. 18 people got shot at this weekend. 4 homicides. What's safe about our city? Who would want to come here? Whose property's going up in value? It's not going to go up in value with that. We must change the way we're doing things. You know, the definition of insanity, y'all know that. If we keep doing the same old thing, we'll keep getting the same results. And that's what we've been doing, is keep getting the same old results. Even greater, the results now are higher than they were last year, and last year was terrible. Last year was a terrible time in our city. So I am for your property rights. I will be somebody that you can call instead of having to have a seat at the table. You can call me on my cell phone, and I'll talk to you about your problems and your issues, and I'll meet with you. I'll come, you know, I'm not going to be sitting really behind a desk every day. I'm going to be out talking to you and your businesses. I'm going to work the streets. I'm going to work the streets for drainage problems, crime problems, filth problems. They say in a study in California, University of California said that if we clean our lots, if we clean our streets, that violent crime will reduce by 10 to 12%. 10 to 12%, just for that. So, as I go to these association meetings, all these people want, all the people in this city want, all the people want safe streets, place for their kids to go outside and play, good schools for their kids. This is all that people want. They just want a nice way to live. And I'll tell you right now, our city's not loaded with bad seeds. We got a few bad seeds in the city that we got to get out.
2 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, pass that on. All right, in the interest of time, we're not going to get to every single question that we prepped for, but we've covered a lot of territory. We're going to move to our closing statements so that you all can get back to work selling real estate, which I think is probably as important as hearing from all of you. By the nature of the way we drew numbers, the closing statements will go Frank first, Greg second, Steve last. 2 minutes.
As a son of this city, again, it's an indeed honor to be your mayor. I'm grateful for each of you. I am proud of the past 3 years and 8 months. I'm proud to have led during a global pandemic. I'm proud to have led through many different issues that were unexpected. But I'm also proud that through it all, this city has grown. Through it all, people are choosing to live in this city. Through it all, people are focused on the right issues. Many things that we've done these past 3.5 years are new things. Why? Because you voted for change. That's the reason why we have so many new things, whether you're focusing on a holistic approach to crime, focusing on homelessness, focusing on more jobs, focusing on more inclusion, diversity, and equity. We have done just that. Our internal mission is to unite, grow, and transform. Our city has been more united. Our city has grown and continues to grow. And our city is transforming because we are becoming the catalyst of the New South, because we are focused on a forward-thinking mentality. We don't spew fear. We talk about what's real, we talk about what's factual, and we make sure we move forward together as an entire city, whether it be in south of 630, east of 530, north of 630. Everyone has a place here in this city. And that's what we've been focused on. That's what we continue to be focused on. And again, I ask each of you, as you have time to deliberate these next few days, to please consider voting for my administration to be reelected. I ask you humbly. Thank you.
All right. Greg?
First of all, thank each and every one of you, the LRA, this table right here with Pulaski. Thank you all for having us here. It is always an honor to come up and talk to people. It's always an honor to go up and share thoughts. I do want to say one thing real quick, though. It's my 15th anniversary, and I'm going to run out of here and jump on a plane because I want to be married 15 more years at least. So sorry I'm not going to be able to go talk to all of you. There's several of you that I'd love to go grab coffee with. If you want to visit, if you want to ask me questions directly, I usually try to hang out, but I'm not going to get to today because my wife's already mad at me. So I'm going to jet out the door. But thank you so much for having me here. I want to be an approachable candidate. If you know me, you know that you can call me anytime. I answer the phone. I respond to the messages. If I don't, I'll get back to you as quick as I can. The Little Rock I want to build, and the Little Rock that I think that we need, is a Little Rock that is a great place to live, first and foremost. There's a lot of other things that come through that, but if we can't build a Little Rock that people want to live, we can't really build a Little Rock for the future. I want people to come into town and be like, you know what? I can see myself living here. I want to call one of these people in the room and let them sell me a house. Frank talked a lot about culture. That's a good part of it. We've got to build the culture around Little Rock. We've got to make Little Rock a place that people can see themselves in, a place that they want to be. They'll find a job. Jobs will come. If you look at what's happened in Northwest Arkansas, why they've succeeded us in a lot of ways, it's because they built culture first, and the jobs came, the residents came. But it starts with culture. So we have to make it a great place to live. Again, thank each and every one of you for this. Thank you for having us. I want your vote. I want to be your mayor. If you want a change in Little Rock, if you want a change in Little Rock leadership, I'm the person that's going to provide the change. I'm the person that's going to take what we've been successful at and carry it forward. And I'm also the one that's going to take new ideas and make sure that those are heard and make sure that we're putting those into place and we're building Little Rock for the future. And we're building a Little Rock that people want to live in and want to be here for. Thank you so much. Steve, yours.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. You know, in closing, I want to thank y'all for coming out today, number one. And I want you to ask yourself one question. Is your business like you want it? Do things move like you want them to? Is our city transparent with you? Do you know everything that our city does? I know you will when I'm your mayor, okay? I promise you will when I'm your mayor. But I want to say one thing too. You know, as our city grows, it doesn't happen, nothing happens in this city unless we get together and are not divided. And we're the most divided city that I've ever been around. And I've been around some cities. This is the most divided city that I've ever been around. And we've got to come together as a group of people, everyone in this city, all sides of the city. We must come together and we must make things better for our residents. We must make your children safe at night. A young lady was shot in her house this week. Her and her daughter laying on a couch. We must make people safe. We don't have 8 to 10 years. We have to have somebody that's a leader come in and lead us out of this now. And there is a lot of it. Addiction, mental health, all that's there. I know all about that too. I don't talk about that, but that is something that's most important, is addiction, mental health, homelessness, panhandling, streets, crime, everything. So with that being said, I want to thank you for coming out. Again, I want to thank Roby for all the questions and the shortness of time.
All right. All right, Steve Landers, Greg Henderson, Mayor Frank Scott Jr. Let's give him a round of applause.